Hey y'all, we are back with a few disclaimers, but before that,
Please make sure that you visit our website, webuildlegacy.com, where you can
mhm,
download your copy of What's Black Love Got to Do with It.
and how.
Everything. That's what Black Love has to do with it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I put a few disclaimers because I mean it's a part of research. You have to um, you're offering frameworks, you're telling people, this is what you can expect, this is what you don't need to expect. And it just felt right to when I was writing this to say, listen, because I already did the research, I already know the different things. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? So before I speak, anytime when I go to speak, I always try to lay the groundwork. Look, this is what you're about to face. I know how you're going to feel about this. I have an idea. Think about it like this. Let me know. And so I'm going to say, while you're listening, if something comes up, type it in and in the comment section. It's fine. I'm a big girl in more ways than one. And, and I can take it, but just know, um, this is for everybody. Yes. You can receive it. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get started.
Now for a few disclaimers. If you identify as Black, African American, diasporic African, or person of African descent, I understand that unless you have been taught about our history in your family or your community, you most likely do not know our history. While we are not a monolith with the same history and experiences, I also understand that in many cases, some have been taught to be ashamed of our African history. And for many, Africa is viewed in the same negative perspectives as those who first trafficked our ancestors to this land. While some people travel for missionary work and contribute to benevolence operations, many still cannot fathom that Africa could have so much to offer the descendants of the Africans who were enslaved here. I hope that this ebook, this resource, will offer the additional perspective necessary to see yourself as one with a proud history that extends beyond the single story we have been offered through Western culture. If you identify as biracial or mixed race, I understand that your experiences are distinctive and that the diverse heritages represented in your families are all worthy to be explored and honored for their unique perspectives that they will offer your life and understanding of the world. I understand that you may be a person who has been challenged about race and ethnicity throughout your life, or even been othered by people, making it challenging to know where you fit in. I encourage you to allow this ebook to add to your understanding of who you are and your appreciation of your African ancestry. If you identify as one who is white, Caucasian, or person of European descent, I understand that this topic may be challenging because it seems to promote division between different races of people. I also understand that if you are in an interracial relationship, it may seem to speak directly against your relationship with your partner and any children that may be born of your relationship. In the context of this book, Black love represents more than just how Black people relate in romantic partnerships. Black love first begins with the love of oneself, which Western culture does not promote for people of African descent. If your partner is a person of African descent, or you have children that have African ancestry, this resource will surely enhance your knowledge and appreciation for the diversity in your family and equip you to help those you love celebrate who they are. If you identify as a person of color or other ethnicity. I understand that most people of color and cultures have histories of discrimination interacting within dominant white cultures. There's also a practice of creating hierarchies between people of color and diverse cultures. And these hierarchies often place people of ethnicities with lighter skin in higher social positions than people with darker skin. The same could be said about having straighter hair versus curlier or coily hair, lighter eyes versus having darker eyes. All of those differences between white and other, between European and African. These hierarchies often place people of ethnicities with lighter skin in higher social positions than people with darker skin. This can mean that people of color or culture have also been inundated with certain prejudices about people of African descent and found refuge from some of those external biases solely based on their ability to assimilate and blend in to majority culture. This resource will offer cognitive justice that can also help you break free from the cognitive dissonance of a system that offers positions in society to you as a person of color, while also treating you as a subordinate in majority culture. If you identify as one who is not heterosexual and or is in a monogamous relationship, this ebook, this resource was inspired by research that sought to fill in the gaps of studies that had already been conducted about male and female gender roles with regards to African Americans. While much of what is written in this resource is useful for general information, it is specifically focused on monogamous heterosexual romantic partnerships. I expect that you will see other gaps that can be addressed through additional research. Please let me know if my work inspires you to continue to expand this conversation, or if you use it to support some research that is already in progress. Finally, this resource is an information extension of my formal research titled Non-Conventional Gender Roles in Relationship Education Curricula for African Americans, Content Analysis. For ease in reading, I've only included hyperlinks to useful resources about certain topics. If you desire to read the formal research with the results in complete reference section, please follow the link provided.
Well, guys, I just wanted to say I really, really enjoyed this disclaimer section, because what this says to me is that the format in which this was written and the purpose of which this was written was not to ostracize or destroy or destruct, any one people group. But it was, brought into to surface to just share the entire perspective. And so I enjoyed the way Andrea, Dr. Andrea had actually just laid this out and say, hey, for one people group, this is important to see yourself in the story. And for other people group, where this message may not directly be pointed to you, is not a knock, but it's something to be used to help open up the eyes of those that are around you as well as yourself. So receive it as a information of research. And if it strikes a chord with you and you can use it to further your research and continue to go forward. So I think it was just a real balanced overview to not really looking to offend, but just say, hey, this is a talk and a conversation that should continue. So man, really nice job.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's important to me, like I said before, we all are going to come from our different perspectives. But with the research, when I actually did the research, I had to be specific about what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? Or why didn't you do this? Why didn't you have to support every single thing that you do? You have to support why you're not talking about a certain thing. And I felt that even though this is not my research, I did not talk about all the things I'm talking about here. This is for y'all. This is to help y'all find a way to get to my research so you don't have to actually go read that thing, even though it's wonderful. This is just an effort to say, okay, understand, I know this is the issue you might have if you're dealing with this. I want you to know my perspective about it before you go and start reading it, and so it was stated already. And if it doesn't sound like it fits you, then you can stop listening now.
Another thing I like about this disclaimer is the fact that, what it goes out to say, that it's okay for you to be African and to be Black, right? And what I got out of that is that you have certain people say, well, why you gotta be all Black, or why you gotta be
nobody ever asks anybody Asian why you gotta bring up being Asian all the time. No one says that. So I
don't see color. Color is I don't deal with that. Right. Everybody looks the same to me.
I just and so we talk about that even more throughout this, and why those statements in themselves are just problematic. But it's important to know that when you're talking about the single story, the story that's been accepted, it's just like if people were talking about Columbus Day, and then it's like, wait a minute, we're celebrating the person that came here and basically led the charge to annihilate the indigenous peoples of this land. Why are we celebrating? Why are we celebrating that? That's not to be celebrated. What is celebratory about that? No, we should be celebrating the indigenous people, that were here. And so whenever you decide that you're going to butt up against the single story, I remember when they were really changing that a few years ago. It hadn't been that long. And they were still doing, like even Thanksgiving, people were started, and my kids were in elementary. My youngest were in elementary, and so I was working at the school so I could be around my babies. And I remember the transition from the traditional, the Pilgrims and the Indians, that's, and they made the little turkey with the handprints, just the typical stuff, and how that started to switch and transition. And they're like, wait a minute, that's not cool anymore. That's not cool.
But look at the number of years that these things were taught and was given to majority culture.
To all of us.
Yeah, to all of us.
And that's the problem.
To celebrate.
That's the problem.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's the problem. The problem is often we're angry. See, this is not their work to do. This is our work. It's our job. It's my job to do research and say, look, y'all, what I found. And it's our job for our brothers and people of African descent and African folks to go get their own history and say, look, y'all, what I found. Let me share it with you. We're looking for people who have been lied to themselves. All of us receive the same lie. We're looking for those people to somehow champion the work. That's our job.
That's our responsibility. And go ahead. And I was going to say, and the beautiful thing is about with this particular resource, what's Black Love got to do with it? Dr. Andrea actually provides a format that assists you in your research and your study to further look into this particular thing we're talking about. So
I wanted to say this though. When I was doing my research, I had to start it 3 times. That's number 1. 3 totally different. Whatever. I'm just gonna let that go. It's been almost 10. It's been 10 years. I should let it go. But when I was making a determination about the research that I would study, I mentioned in a different one about the Healthy Marriage Initiative. So there's a woman, and she, my dissertation chair was a white woman, and there were so few people working with African Americans, with Black people in relationships, that there were 10 regions in the United States. This is back during the before. This is early 2000s. So this is a while ago, y'all. And there were 10 regions, and there were so few Black people doing the research in Black relationship education that she was over one of the regions. Can you imagine that? So the work that is being done for us, she was over this certain region in the United States. And I went to her and she saw my topic and she was like, I'll help you. The chances of finding something related to relationship education is so slim. And so when she saw it, she volunteered. She said, I'll be your chair, because others were like, this is psychology, right? And I'm like, no, it's about education. Are you a counselor? And I'm like, no, it's not about counseling. It's literally about education. This is about education. And she, because she worked in it, in this area, she understood it. But the question, what?
No, what I'm saying is that, when you're saying this, it just hurts my heart, because every time you want to get into education or talking about, Black and the African experience, the first thing people think about are pathological ideas.
It's like something is you're going to help them. Are you going to help them?
Pre-apprenticeship. Are you going to help the kids?
The poor Black kids.
And it's always
from a deficit
model, and it's just it's really frustrating. But like Dr. Andrea is saying is that this is our responsibility.
This is our work
to reshape and reform our narrative.
And what she told me was, because I got, I'm sitting here, I know she deals with the Black people relationship education. I know that, but I had a question for her, because at one point I was like, because I'm being honest with you all, this has been transformative for me making this decision to do this work. I did not grow up making big distinctions, Black power, power to the people. That wasn't me, that wasn't me. I didn't grow up making great distinctions between any people or anything. And so it was hard for me to make a decision that I was just going to focus on Black people. Believe it or not, I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't had to walk through myself. And so I went to my chair and I said, hey, I said, is it going to work against me if I just focus on Black relationships and don't concern myself with, white, that general population, white relationship stuff? She said, there are pros and cons to it. And I was like, well, I know that there'll be a lot more opportunities and curricula to study if I just look at everybody. She said, that's right. She said, but also, if you don't research about African Americans, then who are you expecting to do it for you?
Mm.
Literally, the reason why I did this was because my white chairperson was like, the reason why I'm over this area is because people are not doing the research. You're not doing the research. If you don't research about Black relationships in this context, who are you waiting to do it?
Wow.
Who are you waiting on that's going to do this?
Wow.
And so I'm putting that back on you all. Who are we waiting for? And if you look at this and you're like, well, I don't know, whatever. Okay, fine. I don't know why there's a sect of people that believe things more if it comes from non-Black people. I don't know. Maybe the confirmation, maybe that's part of our conditioning and brainwashing. I don't know. That's fine. Whatever flows, whatever gets you there, you go for it. Okay? Whatever gets you there. If it helps you that I had a white dissertation chair, if it helps you that I was affirmed by other people that were not Black, does that help you? So, I'm not being facetious or anything like that. I'm saying it is our responsibility to get our history and to convey it to one another. That's what I'm saying.
And all I have to say to that is, Ashe, please make sure that you visit our website, webuildlegacy.com, so you can download your copy of What's Black Love Got to Do with It. Please don't miss out, because Black love has to do with everything that you decide to do in leaving a sustainable legacy as an African American as a diaspora African. This is
Diasporic African,
all
yeah.
around the world.
Yes.
It's so important for us to take into conclusion our whole story. Africa is rising. Thank you for going on this journey with us, and we're
Yes.
looking forward to joining you guys as we continue to go forward with
Stay
our
with us,
readings
guys.
and commentary.
Stay with us.
What's Black Lives to Do?